Welcome back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake, and I'm here with just one of my co-hosts, R.I.P. Alex. Just here with Josh.
Yeah, and today we were talking about Godzilla minus one, which I had the luck to see it with it coming back just for one weekend only. However, as we talk about it, I got to see it in the black and white. Blake, you got to see it in both versions. Now, we did not know that we would see it in the black and white because you're supposed to have an option.
Oh, the tickets say colored.
But hey, at least we got to see it in IMAX.
That was
Definitely
true.
was worth it.
That is true. I saw it in normal when I saw it in colored version. So it was nice to see it in IMAX. But yeah, Godzilla minus one. Obviously, this movie is doing some interesting things, as it is the first Godzilla movie ever nominated for a Academy Award, as it's up there for VFX artist. What is it exactly?
Yeah.
Like best VFX, something like that.
Yeah.
But it got that nod, obviously, as of, well, this video will definitely come out before. I'm thinking of the Grammys, which are this weekend. Oscars are still miles away, so obviously we will not know when this comes out what won. But as well as being the highest grossing Japanese made Godzilla movie in America, which obviously not too much to compete with, because considering most of those were made before like 2000, even like most of those were all in the 19, like it was a 19 something. And I think I saw one more thing about it. It's like the fifth highest grossing like Japanese movie in America, something along those lines. I thought I saw.
I believe so. It's
It was
either
something,
in the fifth or at least definitely in the top 10.
right?
I'm
So
seeing that.
all of it is very, very well worth it, I believe. I really hope they win that the Oscar. You could see how excited the cast and the crew were who when they saw that nominee.
Reaction video was great, definitely.
Right, that was just great, and just to think about how few people, and how little compared to other stuff its budget was, is insane to think about. But yeah, I don't know if you want to start and talk about it a little bit.
It also cracked IMDb's top 250, which they always frequently update that of how they review it, and it's 174 is its number. So it's actually kind of like decently up there.
Yeah.
And that's movies literally of all time. They frequently update that even when it comes to older films. So that, in my opinion, I think that's a big deal. And it's definitely worth it. I definitely agree with the rating. They give it an 8.3. And I think when I came out of it, I said it was an 8.5 for me. And the reason for that is...
Well, no spoilers, video ratings at the end.
Rookie. Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? We're freestyling a little bit here, And I'd say why is because it did a great job for me of wanting to see Godzilla fail. And I think that's definitely one thing that the American version doesn't do, because they paint him more as a good guy. So it's, you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of scenes in this one where this dude is just being an asshole. And you're like, okay, go beat the asshole. My biggest surprise of this film was that the actual human story side of it, there's definitely plenty of it. It is kind of like one of the newer Godzilla films where I will say, like, there's not a crazy amount of Godzilla. There is a good chunk of human, and it definitely is way better than the first, 2016 Godzilla for the American version. There's definitely more Godzilla. Is it okay? Then it's 14, I think. 16, I think, is the second one. So definitely more Godzilla than that one for sure. He kind of is spaced out throughout the film. Good middle section when you kind of lose him for a while. But the human story, I thought was great. I think it was the human story alone was good enough for you to go see this film. I thought the acting obviously was great. It definitely does follow the classic trope of there being like one of like a friend group in a movie like this, where there's one smart guy, one kind of the young goofy guy, and then like the strong just metalhead dude, and of course then the main character that's kind of like a jack of all trades. So it does follow that, but it works. That's what you basically need for a Godzilla film. It definitely worked. I definitely was rooting for the main character, so of course that's a big win. Because for me, because Godzilla, I think fits in that thriller kind of horror film area. I put it kind of in the same category as like the slasher films. That's kind of how I put it up when you judge Godzilla. Of either Godzilla's going to do really just crazy kills or just crazy things, and that's why you loved it, or maybe the story was actually good of how Godzilla exists or its background. And this one, I think I always judge it's either you have a good story and then you hate the villain, you hate the slasher villain, and that's what makes it good, or it has like just a good either kind of background of how the villain originated, good story, good lore to it. And this one definitely fell with you hate him, you want him to see him fail. It makes you root for something the entire film. Definitely fun. And like you mentioned, the VFX, I think that was probably the biggest shock. And also, I think the reason why I got the most coverage about this movie was the fact the VFX was really well done for a small team.
Right.
I mean, we even joked about the fact that like Marvel was creaming in their pants, saying how little amount of people worked on this film for how good it looked. So they definitely had fun with it. You felt the entire film, the people making this film, they had fun with it. And for me, I saw in black and white. I thought it was kind of neat. I definitely want to see it in color, but the black and white just made it feel like I was watching a remastered version of like the original Godzilla film. And it felt like I was seeing it through the lens of the people back in the day, how they probably felt when they saw Godzilla. Obviously now it looks just cheesy as can be, but that's probably how it felt to them. So
right.
Very cool to me. I definitely enjoyed this film. And I understand why you said it was your RKO out of nowhere when we did the review of all the movies. I agree with you. If I saw it then.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, like I said, I think colored was, I think the black and white was a cool touch, like you said. But I think seeing it in color lets you appreciate more the VFX of seeing Godzilla better and seeing some of the other work he did. And I think Godzilla, like you said, like in the new ones, he's a hero or anti-villain even. Like he's just whatever. It's like this one just had it like Godzilla. He's a monster. It's like that simple. This is a monster. He is just destroying shit, territorial, doing what he wants. And so like it was cool to see that like we are wanting to see Godzilla die or fail because he is just he's a monster in every sense of the word. And so I think in color, I think it's just phenomenal. I think the atomic breath or whatever you want to call it in this one, I think is so good. Like he said, when he destroys Ginza, dude, I think that's one of the best, like his breath charging in that and the scales coming out and like the blue on it and everything in color. Dude, and the VFX of that city getting destroyed is amazing. I think just everything about that. And you even pointed out how like they did focus on like it was atomic. Like they had like the huge mushroom cloud when he used it, because it's like he's a radioactive. He's from a nuclear explosion. And so I thought that was just really cool how they showed how impactful and damaging his breath was in this one.
Even when he got damaged, how it was more like it was radioactive flesh that was forming and bubbling back up to heal itself.
Right.
Definitely a neat feature. And also even how they made it when his damage with atomic breath, with the nuke, of how the wind would affect with that, how it was an outward push and then it sucks back in. That was cool. Yeah.
And like it damaged himself and they had to re-heal after he did it. Like it was just, I thought it was just so well done. Just Godzilla as a being alone. And like you said, the human aspect, I thought the humans in this were just amazing. Like I loved the storyline. Like you said, like it was not, obviously a Godzilla movie isn't just going to follow Godzilla. It's like there has to be humans that it's focused on. And I thought this was easily really, really well done. The story of following them was just phenomenal. It going through like a bunch of different years, and just like them rebuilding and everything. Like I just thought it was extremely well done. I enjoyed the human scenes. Obviously we saw it in subbed both times. I think that made it better for me personally. I kind of liked getting to hear like the inflection of how they were delivering the lines. Obviously we didn't know what they were saying. We had to read it, but I just thought that was better than seeing it in dubbed. Because I know that was also a choice with this one
as well. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I thought it was, everything about it was really well done. The only thing about this movie that's like, okay, the very end when they go and see her in the hospital. That's the only time that's like, no shot she survived that. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
That's
that
the
is,
only like gripe that I have with this movie.
especially because that was my like pinnacle of the moment of like, yeah, man, he needs to die. Godzilla needs to die after that. Like that was a soul crushing scene, and it's like you got to be kidding me. And so it does a bit ruin it a bit, because God, that scene of just nothing left, and he
Literally.
just loses again.
There, yeah, her surviving. Thankfully, it was the very, very end, which I appreciated that this movie like wrapped itself up pretty quickly from the time Godzilla was handled. I really like that it didn't drag on. And thankfully, like we said, that's the very end of the movie, seeing that she's still alive, so you can be like, okay, come on now. But the movie's over, so it didn't like pull you out of the movie. You know what I mean? Yeah, I thought this movie was really well done. Like you said, I definitely would, if I'm you, whenever you can see it in color when it comes out to streaming or whatever it is. And I think this is a movie that, if you haven't seen, this is definitely a must-watch movie to me, I think. And for you who hasn't seen it in color,
I'm hoping Max
definitely
grabs
think
it.
it is.
I hope they take.
I mean, they have a lot of Godzilla, so
they have the classic
would,
ones, and this would be, if it gets onto Max, that I think would be a big win for Japanese Godzilla of having a chance of a sequel ever happening, because that means many more people will see the movie if it gets a streaming service. Because it, I mean, especially when it comes to like when there's already the American version established, I think that's also another shocking factor why everyone's like, well, this movie actually did quite well in the box office.
Right.
Of it has a competitor, and its own name is its own competitor.
Right.
So, yeah, I really do hope it comes to Max, and
I think they have to. They have to scoop it up.
I think so, but I don't know.
I hope they win their Oscar too. I hope they win that Oscar for them. That would just be so cool. They seem so happy and excited, and it's well deserved. I mean, it's not like you're just giving it to them. It's well deserved. The movie looks really, really good.
Yeah,
it's really well done.
Foreign films always have a battle when it comes to trying to win an Oscar, so we'll see.
I mean, sure. I can't remember who else I saw was in that category that I was like, what are we doing here?
Marvel always submits its projects, even if it's really bad.
I don't think they got... Oh, Guardians 3 was in that category, now that I think about it. Napoleon's in that category.
I mean, it was a well-shot movie, but...
Whoa. Don't give it any credit. Fuck that movie.
Just not good.
But yeah, Godzilla -1, like I said for last, 2023, because it technically came out then. It was my RKO movie of the year. And I thought it was, like I said, I saw it twice in theaters. Godzilla's just presence, I thought, was really well done. His theme song was really cool, being like the original one. Like, I just thought that was really well done. And just Godzilla's like sound, like his like, whenever he screamed or, roared, whatever you want to call it, like it was impactful. Because like after I saw it, I rewatched like the American Godzillas, starting in whatever that was, 2014, whatever, of Godzilla, and then King of the Monsters. He is not like, when he does that, it's like the volume's like lowered on him. And like this one, it's like you hear Godzilla, like he is impactful when he makes that noise. It's like I just thought the sound of this whole movie was really well done.
Yeah, his screaming is definitely... I think it's because also another thing they do in the American one is it's not like... This one, -1, it feels more evil. It feels more of a monster, while the other one feels like it's a threat from the good guy. It feels that way. So I still like it from the original one. I definitely love when there's always a new Godzilla. They always like try to mix it up when he's charging up his breath. So I definitely love the American one, and I love this one as well. I think that's always the best part of it. At least going into a Godzilla film, that should be a part that's done well, and it definitely was. Also has a scene which we've talked about. I've always mentioned that I'm a sucker for when it just gets quiet in a movie and it's just very intense. That was a solid scene when this is obviously a big spoiler, but when he just crashes straight into it, great scene. Especially because it's just a front shot of Godzilla, of him just charging up. And it's like, how the film had went so far, there is no guarantee that the good guys would survive that moment. So another part that is well done, because it's always hard to make the audience believe They're like, oh yeah, they'll just survive this because always the good guys win. And yes, the good guys do win, but you know, at least you're rooting for the good guys to win in a film like this. And in that scene, I still thought there's a chance that everyone just dies, and he still then wins by crashing plane in.
Right.
Yeah. So that was they had plenty of fun. I would be worried though about a sequel with this one. I mean, I definitely trust the team, but I think it would be hard to have a good human story again. Um, it might have to just turn to the second one. They just make really cool Godzilla scenes, and the story human element might struggle because it's hard to.
Right. No, I agree. Because this one, I thought the human element was phenomenal. Really well.
Because they relied on the wars a lot, definitely for the lore, the background, which was really cool, and them explaining why, like, either government couldn't be a part of it. I thought that was kind of a nice bonus of making it even extra, like, how are they going to pull this off? Also, how, like, you know, there's not just Godzilla just getting bombed the fuck out of. It was just all civilians. Very neat.
Yeah, I thought this movie was really well done. I gave it like a 9.3. This movie I thought was phenomenal. It's definitely up there for me. And it's definitely one that whenever I can see it again, if it hopefully it gets to a streaming service, it absolutely will be one that I watch relatively frequently because just everything about this was really well done, I thought.
That's fair. I mean, since I saw it in the black and white, for me, black and white version's a 8.5. I think if I see the color, that could easily go up to closer to a 9.
Right.
But yeah, it's a win. I think this is an easy film to recommend to people, and they would like it.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it for this video. Leave in the comments down below if you saw Godzilla -1. What are your thoughts? Hopefully they get their Oscar because they deserve it. This movie is... You think about how little they had budget-wise compared to everyone else, and little VF, it's insane to think about. Marvel take notes. But who cares about Marvel anymore? Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.